everybody, and welcome to the Speed Force Media Podcast. My name is Derek, one of the two co-hosts of this week's show. Normally, I am joined with my wife, Eleanor, but she is down with a really bad migraine. I'm actually suffering from it pretty bad myself right now, but we wanted to push through and make sure you guys had a show. If you're new to the channel, this is our more laid-back, non-scripted, kind of more personal show versus our normal weekly uploads. That way we can kind of get more personal, more deep into our own personal perspectives and thoughts. So this isn't something that's super duper professional by any means. I'm not by any means a movie expert, just a common DC fan that's just wanted to voice his own opinion and really just have a good time talking about the things we love. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we really love to have you guys here with us, because that's, it's not any fun if we're just here by ourselves. So we'd love to have you here. Also, one thing we've been wanting to work on for a couple of months now is getting your guys' comments, questions on the channel, or on the show, I should say. So if there's anything that you guys had in mind, any ideas, whether it's community posts, live streams, or just answering comments in video formats, I'd love to hear your guys' ideas. Please feel free to shoot them down in the comments below. It's been a big week for DC. We've got CinemaCon with The Flash being screened, and we've got some early screening reactions, just some online social media reactions, not some big full-fledged reviews. Of course, with any screening comes plenty of leaks and plenty of rumors, and that is, of course, good news and bad news, depending on your perspective. We also got news that Superman Legacy entered pre-production. The Russo brothers officially announced that they will not be directing a Batman movie for James Gunn, but do really want to work with James Gunn. James Gunn also came out, vice versa, said he really wants the Russo brothers to work for him. We got our second Flash trailer, and of course, a lot of people have been asking the question surrounding the Flash movie. Should the Flash movie fail? Now, let's just start off with the Flash movie reactions from CinemaCon. Now, these are just online reactions. These aren't full-fledged reviews. These are non-spoiler, so feel free to stay safe if you are avoiding spoilers. DC's The Flash, this is from Eric Davis, is tremendous. Forget DC. It is without a doubt one of the best superhero films ever made. An all-timer. Inventive storytelling, fantastic action sequences, great cast, so many nerdy details. I'm in tears at the end. Everything you want from a superhero film and more. That is something that we have heard from a lot of different reviewers, whether it's on YouTube or online in general, is that this movie has great action sequences, that the cast is superb, that the storytelling, that the actual screenplay and the writing is quite well done in this movie, which is one of my biggest complaints in a comic book movie, is when you just get a lot of spectacle, a lot of big action sequences with a few cheap jokes along the line, but the story isn't really that quite engaging or inventive. It sounds like this movie is going to be quite the story. Now, this comes from Scott Menzel. The Flash is hands down one of the best superhero films of all time. No joke. The Flash is the ultimate movie-going experience, as it has a little bit of everything. Action, emotion, heart, humor, and plenty of nostalgia. Ezra Miller is phenomenal as dual Barry Allen's, and he goes on to say Michael Keaton was great, yada yada. Plenty more of these screening reviews are saying the same stuff. Yep, The Flash is as good as they say. It's Back to the Future meets Spider-Man No Way Home, with all the humor and heart of the former and action and surprises of the latter. If anything, it might be a tad too ambitious, but it's also just incredibly satisfying, heartwarming, and fun. A lot of the reviewers have also said that it's got a lot of great emotion, that it's got a fun tone, a lot of humor, and yet it's also a little bit more of a darker movie. If you're interested in hearing more of these reviews and these reactions, you are more than welcome to find them. The ones I was reading from was off of The Hollywood Reporter. I myself obviously have not seen the film. I was not invited to CinemaCon, believe it or not, I know. But I'm not super surprised by these reactions. I mean, I am in a little way, though, relieved because The Flash is my favorite superhero, if you can't tell by the channel name, Speed Force Media. Although Ezra Miller, I have always liked as the Flash, has never been necessarily my favorite version of the character, but I did want to go into this movie with an open mind, thinking, hey, maybe he will, or they will give a run for their money. Maybe in this movie will elevate their performance to a level where I can look at Ezra Miller's Barry Allen and think, because of this movie, because of The Flash being so good, this version of that character, or the two versions of the Barry Allen that they're playing, are so good in this movie that it makes me look back overall as their entire run as this character. That's what I want from this movie. I want this movie to be that good, that despite the drama, despite all of the terrible actions that have happened behind the scenes, whether they're true or not is not for me to say, but even with all of that said, and I don't condone any of it, I don't think anybody does, but I think we all want the movie to be good because the actions of one person involved, of a movie with thousands of other people involved, the movie shouldn't suck just because there's one terrible person involved, right? Or one person that did a bunch of terrible things. This movie sounds like it's going to be really great. Maybe it's not The Dark Knight, like David Zaslav, James Gunn, and other WB executives were saying months ago, hell, years ago. Every time this movie was delayed, they're saying, hey, we just want to get it right because this script, it's The Dark Knight quality. It's Joker with Todd Phillips quality. It's Logan quality. I don't know if this is going to be one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And as a Flash fan who has been very, very skeptical of this movie because of the constant delays, because the fact that there's been a Flash movie in development since 1988, literally, or because of the person playing the Flash in general, there's been a lot of reasons to be skeptical of this movie. Or the fact that DC is going in a new direction without Henry Cavill, without Zack Snyder, without Ben Affleck, in a total new reboot. So does this movie even matter? Does this movie make a difference? Will we even get a sequel? There's a lot of questions, a lot of skepticism going into the film. A lot of these reactions obviously can't really go into depth and into detail of answering any of those questions of whether or not this will impact the future of the DCU. Some of the reactions have said yes, that it's a perfect tie-in from the DCEU to the new DCU. We'll have to wait and find out to when the rest of us average Joes, no offense, gets to see the movie. And of course, there's plenty of leaks you can find online if you haven't already. For me, these reactions don't necessarily elevate my excitement for the movie, but it does relieve me, like I said, because with all of the pushbacks, all of the delays and the rewrites and the director changes due to quote-unquote creative differences, yeah, it certainly leaves this Flash fan feeling very skeptical about this movie, but the trailers have been great. Michael Keaton looks way better as Batman than I ever possibly could have imagined a guy his age as Batman could be. Sasha Calle, if I'm pronouncing that right, I hope I am, as Supergirl looks absolutely amazing. A totally different take on Supergirl, but looks great. We're getting Michael Shannon back as Zod. Not everybody loves Michael Shannon as Zod. I think he is a wonderful villain, and it looks like he's not going to necessarily be in the movie a ton, but is definitely going to make his presence known. And then we get Ezra Miller, who behind the scenes, is kind of a mess, kind of a nightmare, has a lot of drama attached to that name. But hopefully in this movie gives not one but two great performances, and from all of these reactions and all of these reviews, it looks like they do. So I'm still really excited for the movie. We just put out a poll on the channel of where is your excitement for the Flash movie after the new trailer, after the CinemaCon reviews. I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether it's in the poll, whether it's in the comments of this video. Let us know, what do you think about the Flash movie CinemaCon reactions? Do you buy into it? Are you excited for the movie? Do you think that, like some YouTubers are saying, that maybe these reviews are paid for? Maybe they're bought off. Maybe the film is actually total garbage. It's total ass. And all of these reviews are just paid off. Whatever you think, we would honestly love to hear it down in the comments below, because we love to hear the different perspectives, the different talk. Just try to keep it friendly with each other, because we're all DC fans. All right, so let's talk about the Russo brothers won't direct Batman. Do the Russo brothers need to direct Batman? No, absolutely not. Do they even need to direct anything for the DCU? No. Chances are the Russo brothers might not even direct another comic book movie in the next 10 years, if at all, in the rest of their careers respectively. The Russo brothers have already directed 4 Marvel comic book movies and some of the best MCU movies, in my opinion. And so a lot of people have been speculating whether or not they will direct a movie for the DCU. James Gunn has came out and said, yeah, I'd absolutely love to have the Russo brothers. They do great work. They're great guys, and I'd love to have them. The Russo brothers said, yeah, we'd love to work for James Gunn, and in one interview, they went out and said, yeah, we'd love to do Batman. The very next day after the internet caught on fire, after the former Avengers Endgame directors said that they would like to direct Batman, they came out and said, no, honestly, guys, we would never direct Batman. That's way more than what we want to do. We'd rather keep it friendly and funny and go with a more weird choice as opposed to a major character like another Batman movie. So, with that being said, now this is all speculation, but if the Russo brothers were to actually direct something for the DCU and James Gunn, what are some of the movies that they possibly could direct? Now, this is just my opinion. This is just my personal wishes, not something that I think is actually necessarily likely, but I'd love to hear your picks. If you want to see the Russo brothers direct something for the future DCU at all, or if you'd rather see them stay away, let us know in the comments below. And if you do want to see them direct, what would it be? So since they said they want to direct something funnier, and we already know than Batman, and we already know that they're really great at doing the big team-up movies, since they've done really well with Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, becoming the highest-grossing movie of all time for a short period, then you instantly want to kind of look towards team-up movies, right? I mean, they've done well with Captain America Winter Soldier, but if you could get them to do a team-up movie, then the future DCU teams would include, maybe Suicide Squad, Justice League, Green Lantern Corps. We know that they have a Green Lantern series in the works at HBO, which is attached to the DCU. We don't know of any plans of the Justice League or the Justice Society at this point. Hell, not even the Suicide Squad. And who knows if David Zaslav would allow James Gunn, Peter Safran to do another Suicide Squad after that film. Unfortunately, did not do too well at the box office. Major flop at an unfortunate time at the box office. So, with all that being said, my top 3 picks for a Russo brothers DC project. Number 1, and this is film, live action, big screen adaptation, and these are just my picks. Number 1 would be The Flash 2. Now, you might be thinking, why wouldn't Andy Muschietti just come back and direct The Flash and all your talk about team-up movies? Well, with the Flash movie, the one that we're getting here in June, there's a big cast, right? You got Flash, you got Batman, you got Supergirl, hell, you got 2 Batmans. So it would make logical sense that if they're uncomfortable with promoting a second Flash movie, if we even get one, if the box office is good, remember, this is all speculation. We're just having a fun time talking. Then it would make sense to maybe want to bring in some other characters into a Flash sequel, whether it's Batman or Supergirl or not, or if it's other characters like Green Lantern or Blue Beetle or Shazam. They've said multiple times that there's a possible future for characters like Zachary Levi's Shazam or Jason Momoa's Aquaman, but they just don't have the story to tell, and they don't know how the box office is going to be for Aquaman, and it certainly wasn't very well for Shazam. One thing they could do, which is something the MCU did when Ant-Man turned out to not be a billion-dollar franchise, was make it kind of a team-up movie with Ant-Man and the Wasp. You could kind of promote it in that sort of sense, where you do a Flash and Green Lantern movie or Flash and Shazam movie. I'm not saying they absolutely have to, but I think the Russo brothers would be a good choice for that. They said they want somebody funnier, somebody more lighthearted, somebody more lighter in tone, and something more weird and wacky. And I think if you know the Flash and the Flash family, whether it's Barry, Wally, Bart, Jay, and going into the Speed Force and all the different speedsters, whether you want to go into Eobard Thawne, Hunter Zolomon, Savitar, any other of the different versions of Daniel West, Reverse Flashes, there's all sorts of different speedsters you could bring in, whether it's the Black Racer or even the Black Flash. There's so many different characters you could bring in a weird, wacky, but fun Flash 2 directed by the Russo brothers. My second pick would actually be a Teen Titans movie. Now, they haven't said whether or not they're going to do a Teen Titans movie or not, so maybe this one's just a long shot in hell. And I know they're doing the Titans series, just got canceled. Maybe it got canceled for a reason. Maybe they have plans for a live-action big screen adaptation. And if the Russo brothers were wanting to do something a little bit lighter, a little bit fun, keeping it in the teenage era with some teenage characters is definitely a good way to do that. And if they weren't wanting to do something as iconic as Batman or something as dark and gritty as Batman, but they wanted to maybe dip their toes into the Bat universe or the Bat family, the Teen Titans is a great way to do that. And my third pick is going to be The Authority. Now, The Authority is not a team I am super familiar with. It is a team that is kind of like the Justice League in a way, whether it's their own versions of Superman and Batman. It is another DC team that would be very interesting to see the Russo brothers direct. It's not going to be super dark and gritty, but it's not going to be a complete comedy either, which is exactly where the Russo brothers have been extremely successful. The Authority is also another team that does not have very good, well-known name brand recognition. A lot of us DC fans have never heard of The Authority until it came out of James Gunn's mouth. So attaching a well-known director like the Russo brothers, who have had crazy good success in the past, would make a lot of us much more excited for The Authority, especially if the rumors are true that The Authority and Superman Legacy is going to be building towards a Superman versus The Authority film. I don't know if James Gunn would be directing that, or if the director of The Authority would be directing that, or if maybe they'd even bring in Andy Muschietti. Who knows? But those are my personal 3 picks for if the Russo brothers were ever going to direct something for the DCU. Which 3 movies would you want to see? Look, I know I've really hyped the Flash movie. I've been really positive about the Russo brothers joining the DCU. I know I'm an optimist. I know I've got a big imagination and none of this is even remotely possible. Sue me. All right. We're all DC fans. We're just having fun here. And that's kind of what we do here on the show. Sticking with the Russo brothers for just a moment, we put out a community poll for you guys last week of favorite Russo brothers movie. Now, unfortunately, YouTube did not give us enough options to give us all of the MCU Russo brothers movies, but we had 86 of you guys vote, by far our biggest voting poll results, and 12% of you said other/none. 23% of you voted for Avengers Endgame, 30% of you voted for Avengers Infinity War, and 35% voted for Captain America Winter Soldier. So Captain America Civil War unfortunately was not on there. Maybe that was the 12%, or maybe those of you wanted Civil War voted for Winter Soldier. Either way, Winter Soldier was voted the best, or at least favorite, Russo brothers MCU movie, coming in at number 1, number 2, Infinity War, and number 3 was Endgame. Make sure to keep your eye on our community poll for other posts like this. We'd love to see your guys' interaction and get your guys' opinions. It's a great way for us to get in contact with you. Also, we will be putting out other community posts for you guys to submit your questions, topics, comments, etc. That way we can get into better way of being able to interact with you guys. That will do it for this week's show. Thanks for being here, and until next time, Have a great day.